Hi, everyone. I'm Carli.
And I'm Sophia.
And this is Away She Goes, a podcast from girls who travel.
Each episode will help you feed your wanderlust with travel tips, stories, inspiration, and more. Away she goes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Away She Goes. I'm super excited about today's episode. Sophia and I are joined by a very special guest, Julia, who used to be a yachty. She was on season 1 of Below Deck Med in Greece, and I'll let her introduce herself. Julia, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me also. Like you said, I was on Below Deck Med season 1, which is many moons ago now for me. I live in the UK in West Yorkshire, Leeds, and I have a small online business. So that's me, and I'm pregnant. So I'm
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why. So for anybody who doesn't know, before we started recording, Julia took a sip of something. I was like, right now we're recording. It's 9 a.m. on the East Coast. I think it's 2 p.m. where Julia is. And I basically said, I wish I could have wine. It's too early. She goes, no, it's not wine.
No, it's not wine.
Okay.
Definitely not. I mean, it would have been.
Yeah.
not this time round.
That's all right. That's understandable. So, Julia, a lot of people in like our online community, our Facebook group, we get a lot of questions, not only about going into yachting specifically, but a lot of people who maybe aren't familiar with that as a career. I wasn't until I was introduced to Below Deck by a friend a few years ago, so a lot of people ask things like, what kind of jobs can I get where I can travel the world and that kind of thing, in addition to asking about yachting. So I think this is going to be a really great episode to reference for people who are interested in looking into that. What made you first decide to join yachting, and when did you initially decide that you wanted to do that?
So I kind of fell into yachting. I'm not your typical yachty. So basically, me and my friend were traveling around the south of France and Spain, and we ran out of money. And we just got talking to some locals in a pub, and they were like, "Why don't you do some day work?" And we were like, "Well, that sounds a bit bizarre. What the hell is day work?" And they kind of went on to it, and they were yachties themselves, and they were like, "Look, you just go down, you dock walk, you go down to the port, you dock walk, and you say to the yacht, have you got any work tomorrow morning?" And they usually say yes or no, or yeah, be here at 6 a.m. in the morning tomorrow. And then we actually went down on our rollerblades, so we probably weren't taking that seriously whatsoever. And they probably thought, yeah, sure, 6 a.m. in the morning. Didn't think we were going to turn up, and we did. So I kind of started in the industry just doing day work for a season. And back then, this was probably in my early 20s. So, fair time ago, and you get like €100 at the time, and that's big money back then. We were like, okay, we can survive in Spain and south of France on this. So yeah, that's how kind of I fell into it. I've never done season on season like a lot of yachties do. I always used it as a tool to kind of pay for my education or going to do my masters. So I dipped my toe in and out of it quite a bit. So yeah, I'm not your typical yachty.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you didn't go like back to back to back. You kind of did it sporadically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure. So a big question that a lot of people have is, what do you need to do? And you've touched on it to break into the industry. I know there are like certifications you need, courses you have to take. What does that all kind of look like?
First of all, like even before you consider, I might going to go and do yachting, first of all, get some like hospitality under your belt, go and work in a restaurant, waitress, go and work in a hotel, and kind of get that under your belt, because it's so competitive. You need to be standing out. Your CV needs to stand out. So get that under your belt. And then I'd say go and do some, if to be a stewardess, go and do your silver service course, kind of more high-end things, even kind of wine tasting, that kind of avenue. So go more high-end. Then you need to get your STC W95, long word, which you can do in most countries. I mean, my husband, I talked to him into doing one season on the yachts, and he actually did his STC W95 in the UK. So it is possible. And it's like a week of firefighting, lifeguarding, jumping into pools off a great height. So it's all that kind of fun kind of stuff, putting out fires. I mean, they get you to do it all. and health and safety, rescuing people and all that. So get that under your belt, and then you have to really jump in the deep end with it. You have to go. I just went, I'm going to go to the south of France and I'm going to go and find some work. It's risky because it might not pay off for you. You might be looking for work for months, for weeks, for months, and you just might give up. But if you can get a lot under your belt before you make the step, before going to the country, it's going to put you at good kind of advantage.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Then maybe this is a split question, because you talked about doing like seasons and then also doing just the day work. But what are your likes and dislikes about the lifestyle for each of those categories more?
Day work is for really people who are breaking into the industry. So you wouldn't really find many yachties doing day work. It's kind of your starting point to get your toe in the water, mind the pun, and kind of just scoping it out really and seeing how hard people actually work on the yachts. And then you won't be staying on the yacht if you do day work. And then when you do get a job, that's when you move on to the yacht and you start actually working. And it's very hard. I mean, you're working, if you're on a charter boat, you're working 18-hour days. I always get asked, is it as hard as it looks? And I'm like, yeah, it's harder. You know, it's really grafting work. You know, you can't wear shoes, your feet start splitting. It's not an easy gig. I wouldn't say it's the kind of, this sounds, I don't know if I can say this, but it's a young person's job, if you know what I mean. I mean, if you've got family and you've got commitments, it's probably not the lifestyle for you. You have to be kind of 20s, 30s and kind of no ties.
Yeah. And also probably the age where you care less about getting your 8 hours of sleep in.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, I care about that and I like my lie-ins, so
same.
Yeah, I can't. And that's, you know, I feel like it, to somebody who's never done it, it has this stigma, I guess is the word, of this like glamorous lifestyle, which I'm sure it can be. But then there's the flip side that people don't see, which is that you are on your feet 18 hours a day on the days that you're working.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're on a charter yacht, I mean, you can go and work on a charter boat, which means that it's rented out most weeks of the summer, which is usually kind of March to September, October. And you don't get a day off. I mean, you'll get a day to turn the boat over for the next guests that come on. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to party, absolutely not. You will get your days off. If you work on a private boat, sometimes it's easier. You'll get more time off. But if you're working on a charter, no way. But if you want the tips, you want to be on the charter boats.
That's where the money is, it seems like.
Yeah.
More so. I'm sure that private pays well too, but on the charter, you get the pay plus the tip, which is even better.
Exactly. So
overall, I mean, anybody who has seen your season of Below Deck has seen what was aired on Below Deck. But overall, like, tell us about Below Deck. Like, how did you end up on Below Deck? Like, was it something that kind of found you, or did you kind of seek it out and say, hey, I want to be on that show? Like, what did your time on Below Deck look like for you?
Yeah, so I had a fashion label and it was doing okay, and it kind of just wore me out, and I was like, right, I'm gonna put a pin in this and I'm gonna go work back on the yachts. And I actually saw an ad on Facebook, and I never go on Facebook, so this is going back quite a few years ago. I mean, it must be like 10 years going on now. And I saw an ad and I applied, but I didn't think anything more of it. I went to the south of France to do another season on a boat that I've previously worked on, and I just wasn't getting on with the crew at all. It was a different crew to what I'm known before, and me and the chief shoe just did not get on. And I got an email from Below Deck saying, you've applied, can we talk to you, can we have a chat? I had to go through quite a lot of interviews and video interviews, and I even had, when I flew out there, I even had I think you call it a psychoanalysis, I don't know, you get psychologically tested.
Wow.
To make sure, I don't know.
Wow.
Exactly. And I was thinking, well, I'm out here now, I'm in Greece, so if you do find something wrong with me, it's a bit too late in the game. But as we know, they always have backups to take your place, and very quickly. So yeah, my time on Below Deck is very different to the reality of working on the yachts. And I mean this from a point of, the American culture is very different to the European culture. So when I worked on yachts in the south of France, it's all very, how can I say this? A bit stiff, a bit prim and proper. When you're on below deck and you're kind of feeding into the like American side of things, it's all very dramatized. You're getting dressed up, you're partying with the clients, you're doing, I don't know, jumping around pretty much like their circus monkey. That doesn't particularly happen in the south of France, in the Med. It's more strict. You don't really sit down with the guests. You don't really engage with them. You're there to do a job. So it is quite a difference. And I found it quite hard to get my head around that because I was there on work mode. Then I realized, oh gosh, no, you can't really do that. I've got cameras in my face 24/7 and the producers are wanting me to speak all the time about what's going on the yacht. So it is very different. I mean, you get an insight into yachting 100%, but the difference is I think quite different.
I always wondered too, like when they have you doing like the interviews where you're kind of voicing over, oh, yesterday this happened. Did you do those like in between charters? Did you do it once at the end of the season?
Yeah, so we would do, I've forgotten what you call them, but they're like the Kim Kardashian bit, aren't
like
they?
a confessional, I think.
You've got
something
the green
like
thing. Yeah. I don't know what you call them, but we would do them in between kind of charters sometimes, or so we'd do it along the way, and then you'd get called out to fly out to America and do some afterwards if there were missing bits in there, kind of editing.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wondered, I'm like, are they doing this once at the end of the season? Are they doing this in between? I always wondered when it was that you guys were doing those. Okay.
And the only way you can tell any of that is when you see someone having a sunburn in either of the videos.
Yeah. Or if they've gone dramatically different with their hair, which
like the haircut or something. Yep.
Yeah. They're pretty much told we don't do anything, so we need it to look the same.
So you look the same, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, was there ever, I'm going off of our script a little bit. Was there ever a time, obviously in the restroom, but other than that, you're on camera 24/7?
Yeah, I found it quite difficult because I'm a confident person. I love being around people, but I also like my own space because it can get quite wearing after a while.
Yeah.
And they don't even really allow you to get off the yacht. I think things have changed over the years with kind of reality TV. They're putting a bit more emphasis on people's well-being. So I think they are giving people a few more, we call them dark days, which are days off. But I found it really difficult because even if I wanted to get off the yacht and speak to my husband, well, they'd be like, well, this might be quite good for us because it might be kind of in tune with what's happening on the yacht. So even if I asked for permission to get off the yacht, I knew that there'd be a camera, even if it was 100 meters away. And I found that quite hard. So they might have got better now, but you're pretty much filmed all the time in your cabin, everywhere. So yeah, as you can tell.
Yeah. One more thing I wanted to touch on in terms of like the difference between below deck and regular. I did it's like a webinar of sorts, like a couple years ago with Hannah and Anastasia back when they were doing Ocean International. And they brought up, when you're filming below deck, you're there for like 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And you have 2 or 3 day charters, whereas like that is not what an actual charter season looks like at all.
No, exactly. So usually you'll have guests on for a week. You wouldn't change guests that quickly, a week or 2 weeks. So yeah, it is very different. And just going back to it, I think the difference between the American culture and the European culture is we don't really do the whole themed thing either. We don't dress up. We don't really do that. So, but I'm sure that happens in the Caribbean and, American guests or, over in America, but it's quite different compared to here. But yeah, you're right. You don't really tend to get 3-day charters.
I couldn't imagine.
Sometimes it's a good thing because you're like, I want them off the boat.
Get off the boat, right?
Yeah. Like, well, I know they're going to be off the yacht in literally like a day, so I can cope. I can get through.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't even. Some of them, I couldn't imagine having them for more than even a night or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine going like a week or 2 with some guests.
With anyone.
Yeah, like, well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, true. I'm like you. I'm around somebody for a day or 2, and I'm like, okay, bye.
Enough's enough.
That's enough. Time to go home now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do the job. I have a hard time hiding my bitch face. So like I couldn't be too friendly with the guests.
Exactly. And that's it. You have to smile through it because they obviously paid a lot of money to be on this yacht. You can hardly be like, no.
Yeah, I also have a hard time sometimes hiding my bitch face. So I also probably wouldn't last very long. Do you have any favorite stories, either from Below Deck or from other seasons that you might have done?
Yeah, I think one of my funniest moments was we had some Arabs on the yacht, and one day I was just like coming out, and I was like, and he was just like on the back deck doing this headstand, and I was just like, wow, it's just, you know, like things keep popping into your mind, and I was just like, this is so bizarre, but yeah, loving it. I'm here for it. And I think one of my favorite times on with Hannah was when we knew that we'd stored some of the alcohol under the chairs that they were sitting on.
Yep.
So literally like, oh, I think there's dolphins outside. Knowing there was no dolphins, but we were like, it's the only way we're going to get them off these seas. So they were like, where? And then I was like, yes, I can go and get the alcohol. So you have to get creative.
That cracked. Yeah, that one cracked. That was Kenny and Amber. I remember Kenny and Amber.
Yeah.
They were on
yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. They drank a lot of vodka.
Oh, yeah, Tito's. I think maybe I'm not allowed to say the brand, but I think it was Tito's.
I think they showed. Yeah, that was a lot.
Oh yeah, they love to drink.
All right, let's see. So, what have you been up to since then? You touched on, having your own fashion line. Obviously, now you're not in the industry anymore. So, what does life look like? How long did you do yachting on and off, first of all, and then like what does life kind of look like now?
Yeah. So I did yachting on and off for probably about 6 years. I did probably about 5 seasons all in all. And then Below Deck was my last season. So that tells a lot and shows a lot. It probably did me in so much. I was like, oh my goodness, I can go back on the yacht again. Do you know what? I think I've always said this. I think I didn't really prepare myself for what was going to happen. And I think because there's almost been a lot of seasons now, crew that are going on can kind of know how to handle it. But as was the first season we were on, so me and Hannah were just like completely didn't know what was going on. And I think now the crew is a little bit more excitable. I think they're more willing to go that extra further because of the cameras. Whereas, I was there really because I was like, well, I'm not making any money on this yacht and I can go and make money on this yacht. So that was purely my intention, but things have changed quite a lot now. I'd say people are crazier. They're a lot more liberal. I mean, I'm probably 2 decades older than them. So a lot has changed. But yeah, I forgot the question. What was even the question? It's pregnancy brain.
No, that's fine. Like, what have you been up to since? Like, how did you kind of get out and how long you were in and what you're doing now?
Yeah, so that was my last season, like I said. And then after that, I pretty much set up my business pretty much straight after. I'd been selling, seasickness bands that people, when they get sick. And I had a lot of pregnant people going, do they work for pregnancy? Can you send them to me? So I kind of looked into the into if there's much out there for pregnant people, and there wasn't. So I started a brand called Myrtle and Maud, and we've been doing that for about 7 years, online business. And just building it slowly and progressively. And that's what me and my husband both do it. And it's called Myrtle and Maud. And it's named after my grandma and his grandma.
So sweet.
Yeah, it's cute. Sweet. I mean, they're the most cutest names, Myrtle and Maud, aren't they? So
I like
yes.
Had to use them. So yeah, we like I said, we have a flat, we have a dog, we go walking most days, and we have a little office, and we go and do our orders each day. We have quite a simple life. It's not all this glamour. People think that you come out of Below Deck and you've got a glamorous lifestyle. The reality is I work hard.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's another reason you're talking about seasickness. That's another reason I get seasick on like flat. Oh yeah. I would be, God, what was her name? Poor Casey, the one that was like, super,
yes.
when I saw that season, I was like, that would be me.
Yeah. My husband, we went on where did we go from? We went from Hull, I think, to Amsterdam, and he got the worst seasickness. And he turned to me and he was like, if I died now, I really wouldn't care.
That'd be fine.
I think we're getting a bit too drama here. He was like, it's terrible. And I've never had it, so I wouldn't know, but
yeah, I get it. I get it pretty easily. I get it. So
Yeah.
I say, oh, I could do yachts. And in my head, I'm like, no, you couldn't. Like
Well,
the little intrusive thought is like, no, you could not.
Yeah. Well, I'll sort you out. I've got a whole business.
Yeah.
We're not nausea. So
And for everybody listening, we will put a link to the website in the episode description if anybody wants to go check that out. One last thing, I'm gonna just like slightly go off again. For anybody listening who is thinking about taking the jump, who's thinking about just getting into yachting, not necessarily on Below Deck or on TV, but just in general, any tips, any advice, any words of encouragement that you would have for them?
Yes, I do. I would say, like, get a job in your country as soon as possible that includes kind of hospitality, waitressing. Get the silver service certificates under your belt, wine tasting, cocktail making, all that good stuff that would, run well alongside stewardessing. And then you just have to take the plunge. You have to have confidence in yourself. I was lucky enough, after my STC 95, I joined an agency and I got a job pretty much straight away on a French boat. But that's not always how it happens. People can, when I sent my husband out, I shouldn't really say that, but I talked my husband into doing a season, and he went to the south of France. He stayed in the crew houses like you can do. And he went day working most days, and he was like, Jules, this is really hard. I don't think I'm going to find a job. He kept going, and he finally found a job on I think some Roman, what am I on about? My brain's absolutely gone mad. One of like Abramovich's boats or something like that. So you just have to really stick it out to get there, and it's all about detail. You have to be super keen on the detail. And I think there's going to be people out there who are younger than you, who have got more experience. But if you show commitment to the cause and you really work hard, that's what you'll get your respect for. So, yeah, you just got to take the plunge and go for it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Like that meme, just do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for all the information. I feel like if I were still in my early 20s and thinking about taking a gap year, this would definitely be the way to go.
100%.
I'm in my late 20s and I still think about it.
Yeah, I know. I had a girl the other day who I went to school with, and she was like, do you think I should do it? And I was like, I'm 39. So I was like, you could, but people are going to be really young. I was like, they're going to be really young. You're going to be more like their mum. But do you know what? You've got all different ages on there, because you've got the engineers on the boat, you've got the captains, you've got the chief stews. It's a hot melting pot of different cultures, different ages, but it's so attractive for, if you're in your 20s, you want to get some money together. I honestly always think about hindsight, and I go, I would have done 3-4 seasons back to back, got the money in the bank, and I would be set up now. But hindsight's like
I say the same thing. Like I said, I learned about yachting in general when I was probably 23, 24. Yeah. And by then I was like I was just out of school. I had a full-time job. Like I was already established, but I have always, to this day, like when I graduated, if I was 18 and had graduated high school, had I known, that's what I would have moved down to Fort Lauderdale, and that's what I would have done.
That's it.
I maintain that to this day. If I had known when I was 18, that's what I would have done.
I know, but it's just really not an industry that's really talked about, that people know of at all. And when you do know of it, I'm like sending everyone. If I ever work with someone who's like younger, I'm like, go and do it. You'll have the best time. Just go and do it and have some fun. So,
yeah, maybe one of these days I'll pack up the courage and just try it just to see. Still, I feel like as long as I'm like late 20s, early 30s, I could still get away with it, even though I would 100%. Be one of the older ones, but I'll try. I'm gonna.
I always have this dream that I want to become a private jet hostess still. Yeah, I've got a baby on the way. Probably doesn't mix well, a baby and jetting off around the country. But if I hit hard times,
there you go. Yeah, you always know you can fall back on it.
Yeah.
So, where can our listeners find you? You talked about, your business, your current project. Where can we find you on the internet and on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I've not joined TikTok yet.
Really?
No, I don't
Wow.
know. I can't even keep up with doing Instagram, let alone everything else. So you can get me on Instagram. It's just Julia Dalbert, Dalbert. And that's where you can find me. Or you can come over to the website at myrtleandmaud.com and kind of see what products and things that we do there. So yeah.
And I will put those in the episode description so everybody has a very easy time finding them.
That's all for this episode. If you'd like more Away She Goes in your life, make sure to stop by girlswhotravel.org/podcast. That's where you can fill out a form if you're interested in being a guest on the show. You can also write to us at awayshegosgwt@gmail.com or leave us a message on our Google voicemail from any phone or computer at 1-563-503-6323. To follow our adventures, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Carli Sees the World. Carli is spelled Carli.
You can also follow me at Sophia AEZ, Sophia with a PH. Away She Goes is part of Girls Who Travel, a community dedicated to radically redefining travel to be inclusive, sustainable, and empowering. You can learn more about GWT, find travel tips and support, shop travel-themed items made by GWT members, and join our Facebook group with nearly 100,000 women all around the world at girlswhotravel.org. We can't wait to connect and explore with you.
Away she goes.